Thank you very much. We're going to start this event or this masterclass, which deals with the situation in Albania. I understand that today's theme is that today is going to be better than tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be better than today. If I spend quite a bit of time in Tirana, and it's exactly the feeling you have in Tirana, that the change is happening, it's happening quickly, there's a lot of energy, and a European path which is very clear and very striking when you are in Tirana. The French president, Mr. Macron, was in Tirana for a visit in October. The Prime Minister, Mr. Rama, was in Paris in April, and they've agreed that they had to have a new economic roadmap, which it's an ambitious roadmap, which we're going to work on. There is work to do, because if we were talking with the Vice Minister a minute ago about the trade relationship, we're very far behind. Very far behind Italy. Italy isn't very far from France. It's very close to Albania, but France is also very close to Albania, so we need to do better. And so I'm delighted to have this opportunity that we have this opportunity to welcome so-called Duma. There's been a bit of change. The minister had to stay in Tirana because Tirana today is the place to be. Some important guests, I don't know whether we can say who it was, you'll explain, are in Tirana, and so the minister at the last moment had to stay, but so-called you will replace him, and it will be just as interesting. And I think you'll be able to tell us where Albania is today and where it is headed, both in the general economic terms and also on innovation and culture, because you have a ministry which has these three dimensions: economy, culture, and innovation. So maybe you could start with a few words on the general state of the Albanian economy. We've gone through a very rough period for everybody, France included, in the last few years. I think Albania has done not too bad, but maybe you can tell us about it.
Well, so is this on? Okay, so first of all, thank you. No? So it's okay, they tell me it's okay. So first of all, thank you, Pierre. It's a great honor to be here today, and I would like to apologize on behalf of the Minister for not being able to be here for major reasons, but I know for a fact that he would actually love to see this event and to participate, and it's perfect actually, and would love to have such a thing in Tirana as well. Regarding the general overview of the Albanian economy, as you were saying, we were during the last few years we had a steady GDP growth, which was, so is it okay now? Okay, which is around 3 to 4% increase annually. Our economy is structured in a way that 95% of it is basically comprised of small and medium enterprises, and they basically make up of almost 80% of employment in the country. Key sectors are obviously tourism, which is the main drive for the economy at the moment, but more in general services, which make up of 54% of the economy in the country. Industry covers around 25%, and main drives within the industry sectors are textile manufacture, energy, and construction as well. And last but not least, agriculture, which still makes up around 21% of the general GDP. It has decreased a little bit during the last few years, and it is lacking behind, but still makes up of almost a third of the general employment of the country. So we were speaking earlier about foreign direct investments, and even though it's true that related to trade, Italy is perhaps one of the most important partners, which is based also on historical context between Albania and Italy. France actually is placed quite well as far as foreign direct investment goes, with an increase of 15% during the last year. And it's the fourth contributing country in Albania for foreign direct investment inflows.
Thank you. I think if when I go back to this idea of a roadmap to change the dimension of the economic relationship between France and Albania, we need the companies, we need the business community, and for the business community to be confident that investing in Albania is something that makes sense today, they can look at Italy and look at Italian companies doing this. If Italian companies do it, maybe there's a point in us being involved as well. But there's also the people don't know Albania very well, and maybe one of the questions I ask is, what about infrastructure? Is it a country where you're investing in infrastructure that will make connections easy, that will make technology easily available, etc.? Can you say a few words about infrastructure?
Sure, yeah. Well, starting from physical infrastructure, we have been actually very committed to building a proper road network, and during 2024 we had almost 6% of the GDP allocated to building new roads. Right now there are at least 4 major projects going on, 2 major corridors, which are actually European corridors, Corridor 8 and the Blue Corridor. The expansion of one of the most important highways, the one between Tirana and Durrës, the 2 major cities. But investments are not just related to the road circuit in Albania. We are trying to modernize also the rail system with the Vor-Hani-Hotit route, which connects Albania to Montenegro actually, and another route that connects also with North Macedonia. Other major investments are the ones that rely on air transport, with 2 investments on new airports. The one in Vlora is actually an international one, which should finish within next spring. And there is another one in the southeast, which is going to start pretty soon. And also 2 major ports, the most important obviously being the Porto Romano seaport, which is also a major cargo port in Durrës. Related to the infrastructure, there is also a strategy for development of the digital infrastructure actually. We are obviously quite advanced, maybe most people here don't know, but we are quite advanced in the digital services, public digital services, where 95% of the services in total are paperless, and these are all the services towards not just citizens but also businesses. But as far as the 5G network expansion and the installation of fiber optic connections, this is also a priority and a strategy, and we know that we need to do better in order to also prioritize the development of the innovation sector in the country.
95% of government services are online. 95%. That's impressive. I don't know where we are in terms of if we look for the same figure on the French context, I think we'll have made less progress than you have. But maybe we come to the main subject of this masterclass, which is economy, culture, innovation. You're the Vice Minister in the Ministry of economy, culture, and innovation. How do you connect the three themes? Maybe starting with innovation, and then we can say about a word about culture.
Well, getting back to the digital infrastructure, you are right. 95% of the total public service in the country is a lot. We are actually the first in the region doing so, and I'm quite sure that we are placed quite well in the rankings, also among Western European countries. In relation to the general innovation sector, I must say that even though we have had quite developments in the public sector, the innovation ecosystem is still in the early stages in Albania, and we are actually left a little bit behind in a few different areas. Maybe this was also the reasoning behind the creation of this ministry, which, to be frank, I don't know if there exists another one like this, not in Europe perhaps. So economy, culture, innovation, it's pretty large. But the coexistence and the cooperation between the three sectors is obviously important for the development of the general economy of the country. As far as the innovation sector, we had an increase during the last few years in the tech sector. Last year it was 15%, and this brings obviously new employment and also the diversification of the sector. But we are a little bit behind as far as investment in research and innovation. It's just 0.2% of the GDP of the country, when considering that other countries in the region, like for example Croatia, is in at least 1.5% investments in R&D. You get the picture.
But it takes us back to the beginning of the presentation today, where the idea is that tomorrow is going to be better than today. You have, it seems to me, you have you've designed your ministry around innovation. We've made innovation part of our bilateral discussion between France and Albania. When the president came in October, he came with Xavier Niel. You have new projects connected with Xavier Niel in some ways. The question for us is it what can we say to French companies from the digital sector interested in investing in Albania? We've started work on a study together with a French company, Inetom. But what can you say to them on, is it, you say you still have work to do, you can make progress, but what's the attraction for French digital company to invest in Albania?
All right, thank you. So, obviously, as I was saying, we are, until now, we haven't done much for research and development, but we would like to follow the lead of countries like France or Finland, who put a lot of efforts in this sector. Personally, I believe that we have an opportunity right now, especially related to AI, which, in my point of view, could be comparable only to inventions such as the television or Gutenberg's print press. And maybe AI even surpasses these inventions because they were just tools that spread information, but obviously AI is not just a tool, it can make its own decisions, and it has its own knowledge right now. It actually has the global knowledge and the ability to make decisions. And we were discussing about the direction we should go as a country and what competitive advantage we could offer to foreign investors towards especially innovation. And we made, let's say, a study, and looking at the key factors of success of different, not only countries who invested towards innovation and changed the perspective of their economy, but also different companies, for example, NVIDIA, who now is richer than most of the countries in the world. You can see that investing in support of AI is maybe the route to go. And I believe that the next 5 years will be the most important ones towards this route. Albania, in this case, has quite a few advantages. One, for example, is being not yet part of the European Union. We still have some flexibility related to law regarding the AI. And this is obviously positive for everyone who is willing to invest in the sector. Second, which is also very, very important, is the energy sector. For those who don't know, energy in Albania is 95% hydropower. And the rest of it is solar farms, solar systems. And this is obviously imperative for the development of AI infrastructure, especially data centers needed for AI to operate, and cloud systems. So we have these advantages, and we are willing to prioritize them and adjusting the regulatory framework towards this ambition. And this might be also the optimum case for French companies.
I think it's a very strong point. Data centers need a lot of energy, electricity. If electricity is renewable, hydro and renewable, because you also have a lot of new projects in renewable energy, that's a very strong point. But you talk about AI, and we know that there's a strong Albanian presence in the AI community, of course, through ChatGPT in particular. But what about in Albania? Because some of those people have left Albania in the US or in Europe. What can you say to French companies in this sector wanting to invest in Albania in terms of human resources? Are you going to train people? Are there new projects to make Albania a good destination in this context as well?
Yes, it's obviously part of this larger reform towards the development of innovation. It's obviously also the education system. Right now we have, if you consider STEM, we have around 10,000 new students each year. And from these 10,000, approximately half get to finish their study every year. But we also have a lot of VET programs towards the innovation and coding, especially for AI. And I know that, I think we're okay on timing. I know that in regards to big investments and large companies, human capital is obviously one of the first points to check. And this is also a priority for the country as well. So we will have a strategy in place for this for the next 3 years.
Very good, very clear. Innovation is also for a company investing in the country. It's human resources, it's infrastructure, it's also the regulatory and the fiscal environment. We've started a discussion with the study we're trying to develop together. But can you say about a few words about how you can attract or make the regulatory and the fiscal environment attractive for digital companies?
Yes, well, there are already some initiatives in place, especially considering the technology and economic development areas and the tech parks. There are already 3 of them. Especially the tech parks have quite an advantage towards the fiscal incentives for the investors. We had a few formulas in place, such as following some best practices from different countries with context comparable to ours. Most importantly Estonia, but also Israel. One of them is obviously the virtual the virtual capacity to build a virtual entity in Albania, but not working physically in Albania in the tech park. And this way you can get all the fiscal advantages while not being physically there. Still, we have also some new initiatives towards the development of the fiscal framework backed by the European Union, where we are trying to get the best practices to develop the proper framework, but not to get over-regulated as in some cases in the European Union. So this is the case now. We would like also to take the advantage on the establishment of the joint committee between Albania and France in this regard. This can be a tool to get the most advanced experience in this reason.
Thank you. I think that will be a useful step to organize a discussion with companies in the digital sector in France, because they know, I think there's a sense that Albania is an attractive destination, but you have competitors elsewhere in Europe, and so we need to find a way of explaining and finding the right angle to make this as attractive as possible.
Right. Just wanted to add something that in most cases we work by crafting offers to different possible investors, and we do so. We follow it within the ministry. So it is obviously imperative for us to have success in this. So it's not always about what the regulatory framework includes. Sometimes it's also the will to offer the best from the country.
Maybe just one last point on this idea, because innovation works also as a hub. You go to places where you already have people working on innovation, startups, incubators, training centers. I understand that you have done a lot of work in Tirana. Can you say a few words about the pyramid and those other projects?
Right. So there are actually different initiatives. You mentioned the pyramid, which is maybe the most interesting one, because it used to be a museum for the previous dictator in Albania, the communist dictator. It was actually his mausoleum. And it was left behind for many, many years. And now it changed in an innovation hub in the center of Tirana. And it includes research centers, innovation hubs, training centers for different age groups of people, startups, and everyone related to the ecosystem, actually. So I would invite you to visit, and we can obviously share whatever information we have.
So I have 2 more questions, maybe the last 2 for me. I don't know if we have time or if we can organize a discussion with people in the room, but we said Ministry for the Economy, Innovation and Culture. So where's culture in this sphere of economy and innovation? Is it creative industries? Is it a wider culture in a wider sense? How do you connect the 3 elements?
Well, It is actually connected also to what is happening right now in Albania with tourism. So we had during last year large expansion of number of tourists. Just consider that the international airport of Tirana is basically at its full capacity. We had 10.5 million visitors during last year, and this year we expect around 14 million. And considering this related to the general population of 2.4 million, it's really huge. The issue is that most of the tourists come to visit the seaside of the country, while we have a very rich nature, first of all, with the Albanian Alps in the north, great scenery in the mountains in the south, very beautiful lakes, and you can visit everything within 2 hours, 3 hours of drive. So it's very difficult to find such diversity in such a small country. So one of the reasons we were trying to invest in creative economy, creative industries actually, is also to invite people to visit different places of the country. We have at least 2 cities which are UNESCO rated, Gjirokastra and Butrint, both at least 2,000 years old. And our main priority was creating attractive events in these locations to attract people in these locations. The history is quite rich and long in the country. We have heritage centers, antiques from the Illyrian and Greeks, and the investments were made towards organizing a large number of events throughout the country. We had an increase of 25% of these such events, and we estimate that this brought at least 1/4 of the tourists to different areas that were previously not visited at all.
The figures you give for the increase in the number of tourism are amazing. They're a bit frightening. It's too many. But at the same time, it's true that it's feeding the growth. That's where the growth of that's how you've had those very good figures in terms of growth in the last few years, and probably is a trend which is going to continue. I'm assuming that this goes also with, which goes back to the one of the previous questions. It means you have needs in terms of infrastructure, because tourism, that's a lot of people using water, using public services. Is it something that needs to be increased as well as alongside the number of tourists?
Yes, but it was exactly what I was mentioning during the first question. We had a very large commitment towards infrastructure investments, and I know that the number of tourists is, as you mentioned, frightening. It is true, and during especially July and August, there are times when it is really heavy on the traffic side. But obviously all these infrastructure investment will bring an ease towards the citizens and also the tourists visiting the country. We are lacking a little bit on remote areas connection actually, but the main cities, the main touristic areas are already in a good place towards connections.
Maybe one last point on going back on culture. I mentioned creative industries. Creative industries is a sector where we have a strong business startup community. Is it something that we can also develop together in Tirana or elsewhere in Albania?
Of course, and it should be a priority of our ministry as well, considering the field of interest. I had just two figures here that are from the European Union, but I was just trying to relate those figures to Albania. So, from what I know, these industries are responsible for 4% of the EU's GDP. For 4% of the EU's GDP and 12 million jobs. And obviously, this is an incredible potential. And a total of 1.2 million enterprises, 99% of which are small and medium enterprises. And if we can match this proportion in Albania, it would be 600, 700 million euros per year in the GDP, and obviously 70 to 80,000 new jobs. And just by saying these values, it is understood that it's a strategic priority for Albania to develop this as well. And this was, of course, the back thought, I believe, on the creation of the ministry. We should learn from countries which are doing quite well on this. Yours, most of all, but Italy as well, and Spain, Greece, just to mention some in Europe, which are doing great in this part. And we have a lot to learn, but we have also a lot to offer, so we can do good.
Again, tomorrow better than today. New places. Tirana to me is a new place. It's not a new place to you. It's a new place to us. And Tirana with a strong startup, creative industry community, with a lot of new projects that you've developed in the city, and the country around and the history. And I think we have a future together which is very promising. Do we have time for questions, or is it possible to have questions?
9 minutes.
10 minutes? And can we have questions? Please.
I know that you are an associated countries for EU Horizon. You are an associated countries for Horizon EU, the EU program for innovation. Do you know if it is used in the country? What is your plan towards this?
Yes, you're right. We are an associated country for Horizon. It is my knowledge that it's not been properly used until now. There are other tools, especially back from the European Union, such as the EU for Innovation, which has been doing a great job in the country until now. And through the creation of the ministry, it will be also one of the objectives to urge startups and other actors within the industry and ecosystem to use also the tool of the Horizon.
I also heard that the cinema industry is growing. How is it in your plans?
Yes, well, when I first was appointed, we were discussing actually the cinema law in Albania, and we were reviewing it because we were looking at the actual situation of the sector, which was not performing very well for its capabilities. And what we understood was that the law actually was quite good, and it was also taken as a model for other countries in the region, so basically copied from other countries. But we had some missing links between the ministry and the different agencies and the private sector to develop new films. We tried to intervene in this by supporting different actors right now, and also attracting international actors to also use the country as a place to create new material. We had a couple, we had different discussions actually with the major industry leaders. Lastly, with Bollywood enterprises, which is also related to tourism as well. Obviously, the total audience of a Bollywood film is very large, and this could also bring tourism, and we still get to the creative industry sector. So creating economy through art, basically. So this is the situation right now.
And I agree that a new place for us, a new image of the country, that also the cinema has a huge role to play. There's one thing we have 2 or 3 minutes left that we haven't touched upon at all, and it's maybe not directly the responsibility of the ministry, even though European integration is a very important part of what your ministry does. But I was saying at the beginning that you sense in Tirana that there's a very strong consensus on joining Europe. That's it's almost unanimous. When you ask people where do you want to go, people say we want to be in Europe. How is that impacting the work of your ministry in the economic sector?
Well, first of all, you're right. The general consensus is that obviously we are part of the European family, and we should be within the European Union. And I believe that we are ranked first within the countries of the Western Balkans for this. Related to the harmonization of the legal framework, it is a very difficult task, obviously. I think that this task has become more and more difficult throughout the years, and maybe some of the countries, if they had to respect all the or fulfill all the tasks that we need to fulfill, would have not been within the European Union right now. Having said that, our ministry has a major role in the negotiations. We are following the Berlin process, and through the new growth plan, we are at least leads in 9 chapters.
Maybe you need to explain what the new growth plan is,
Yeah.
because it's a bit technical.
I know. Sorry. I assume that everyone knows these things, and well, basically, we have to fulfill a list of harmonizations towards the legal frameworks of the European Union in order to achieve the total harmonization within 2030, which is our priority and objective.
Can we say to businesses that having this goal of accelerating the reform and the alignment with EU regulation alongside the financing, because that's what I understand, that the financing from Brussels will increase at the same time. Does that can you say to companies that it will make their work in Albania, if they come from France, they invest in Albania, it will be more secure, more stable, better known, the connection with the single market will improve?
Yes, you're right. This is also connected to different funds, some of which are funds from Brussels as in the form of a grant, and some of it is in form of a long-term loan. Obviously, the alignment of regulations and especially, as you mentioned, the common regional market, first of all, within the Western Balkans, and then afterwards the road towards the total integration within the EU market is going to be a big support towards companies willing to invest in the country.
Thank you very much. I think we've come to the end of our allotted time,
Right,
unless
time.
there's more questions. If not, I want to thank you very much for coming all the way from Tirana. I understand the weather wasn't too good and the plane was a bit, trip was a bit bumpy, but thank you very much all the same. Thank you, Sokol.
Thank you, it was an honor.
Okay. Thank you. 1 second. Thank you very much for this.
So you have 30 seconds.
Can you hear me?
Just joking, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for this enlightening discussion. I'm very interested in what you had to say about tourism and the growth of that market in Albania. There's, you said, a problem with some reputation of the other destinations within the country that's mostly seaside. What are the steps you're taking in national branding, in destination branding for the rest of the country? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, actually, I believe that most of you have not visited Albania yet, and if so, I would invite you all to come and visit, and you would explore that the country is very, very nice, very beautiful. The food is amazing, and people are very welcoming. It used to be very cheap. Unfortunately, it's not really that cheap anymore, but it's still, compared to the standard, the general standard, it's great. You're right. The main promotion has been towards the seaside, and I mentioned it also, but we have a lot of cultural heritage also within the country, and we are trying to promote that as well right now. There are different programs related to this. I can share with you all the technical information after the session if you need to. Different programs and projects, not just for promoting and communication, but also for, in some cases, restoring the sites. Some of which are invaluable not just to Albania, but also to the whole region. And people don't even know about them. So
I think I see the clock. The clock is now stuck on 0. So we've. I think it's time now to come to a close. Thank you again, Sokol, and we'll continue this conversation. Thank you very much.
thank you. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.